Welcome to another MedTech Gurus podcast, where we meet and discuss trending and educational topics that are important to today's medical technology sales and marketing professionals. Now, it doesn't matter if you're new to the space or if you're a seasoned medical sales and marketing professional. You all have come to the right place. You see, the medical technology world is ever changing, and MedTech Gurus will help you stay up to date by interviewing experts and opinion leaders. Now, we call them gurus, and they will bring you information, techniques, and strategies that are sure to help you enhance your knowledge and help you bring value to your customers and your company. Now, I'm Sylvester Harris, and I'm pleased to introduce your host for MedTech Gurus, Mr. Tom Hickey.
Hey, what's going on out there, Gurus? This is Tom Hickey, your host of MedTech Gurus, and welcome to episode number 267. In today's episode, we're joined by Alan Roth, Chief Executive at Oxford Drug Design. Alan and his team are at the forefront of leveraging artificial intelligence to revolutionize drug discovery, addressing some of the most pressing healthcare challenges, including antibiotic resistance and cancer treatment. With deep expertise in computational chemistry, Oxford Drug Design has successfully built a platform that accelerates drug development by predicting, designing, and optimizing molecules that can be produced at scale and perform effectively in real-world clinical settings. This episode provides a fascinating deep dive into AI's impact on drug discovery and offers invaluable advice for entrepreneurs looking to navigate the complex world of healthcare technology. Get ready for an insightful and inspiring conversation about the future of AI in healthcare with Alan Roth. This is an episode you're not going to want to miss. But before we get into the episode, let's thank our sponsor, Accelerant Consulting. Gurus, GPOs, RPCs, IDNs. It's also confusing. Where do you start? Let the experts at Accelerant Consulting guide you through today's complex healthcare market. Check them out at accelerantconsulting.com. That's EXCELERANT consulting.com and do it today. Okay, Gurus, here it comes, episode number 267. And remember, if you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, tell a friend. Welcome, MedTech Gurus. Today, as I mentioned in the introduction, we have a terrific guest with us, Alan D. Roth, PhD, the CEO of Oxford Drug Design. Alan has a fascinating career spanning basic research, capital markets, strategic consultancy, and company operations. From his beginnings as a chemist at Merck & Company to leading global bioinvestments and co-founding life sciences companies, Alan's career is one of innovation and entrepreneurship. Alan has a PhD in chemistry from Columbia University and a postdoctorate in medicinal chemistry from the University of Oxford. Hey, Alan, are you ready to be our guru today?
I am, and thank you very much for the invitation to join you and your listeners.
Oh, it's great to have you. So tell us something fun or interesting about yourself or your family so we can get to know you a little better.
I suppose an interesting fact is that I arrived in the United States to attend college, having been born and raised in South America. And I have siblings who were born in the US, but I come originally from a different part of the world. So it was a great experience to arrive in the US and have most of my academic and professional career there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Was there any culture shock with some of that, or was it a smooth transition for you as you made that transition into the US?
Everything was smooth, except I came from a relatively tropical country on the Caribbean. And in my first party as a freshman, it was October or November. It was already snowing in Ithaca, New York. And when I walked into the party, someone said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Venezuela." "What are you doing here? It's so sunny and you can be relaxing at the beach. Why do you come to this part of the world?" And I said, "I love the snow." I had never seen snow before that day, but I had to give a cheerful answer to that.
Yeah, for sure. I live in Michigan, so we get a fair amount of snow where I'm at as well. So and you've got to embrace it. You're right. So, Ellen, first of all, you've had a really diverse career, from your chemistry at Merck to investment management and then to founding ChiroQuest. What motivated your transition from lab work to the capital markets and then to entrepreneurship. Can you give us a little overview of that journey?
Sure. I was an academic at the Central University in Venezuela, and I intended to stay in academia for the rest of my career. It so happens that a common friend to me and to a firm called McKinsey & Company gave me a call and said, Alan, there is a consulting company here that wants to get in touch with you, and would you be interested? And I said to myself, consulting, that sounds like companies that ask you chemical questions for their own purposes. And I was sure that this McKinsey & Company was just going to pick my brains about the oil industry. And I thought I had to brush up on petrochemicals and all of that. And little did I know that it had nothing to do with petrochemicals, really. It had to do with management and business. And so we started this interview process, and at the same time, the academic life in Venezuela for an initial academic position was very poorly funded. So I said, why not supplement my income with some consultancy? And when I joined McKinsey and discovered that this was mainly about business, it really opened a new direction for my career. And I said, well, why not combine my science with a business and managerial career? And that's when I went to the business side. So it was really partly circumstantial, partly a result of my not being informed what the business world was like. And then I ended up coming back into the academic and chemistry side.
Yeah, gotcha. But to follow up on that a bit, I'm kind of curious about how your experiences through that, and then you did some investment management and that strategic consultancy. How did that influence you when you started to lead biotech companies?
This was a very powerful, positive influence in my eventual managerial career for biotech companies. Because having worked at McKinsey and learning how to analyze businesses and what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right, and then moving on to investment management, where you actually scrutinize companies and try to understand if you should allocate capital or should take capital away from them, made it relatively clear to me when I set up CaraQuest what needs to be done in order for investors to be satisfied with an investment, in order for a business to be successful. And that's how CaraQuest was a successful start to my entrepreneurial career, because of the work that I had done as a consultant and as an investment manager, neither of which, by the way, were particularly easy learning curves. They were very steep, but they were very helpful.
Yeah, I can imagine that those learning curves were steep, coming from just academic world into the business world, right?
They were, and I had the fortune that McKinsey had a program for people like me, other scientists. I had MIT physicists that would introduce us academically to the world of business and finance and accounting and strategy. So I was part of that program, and when I returned, I learned how to be a better management consultant, and eventually that was very helpful for the rest of my career. But the transition was not just challenging from the point of view of academic learning, it was also the mindset, because the mindset of an academic in a chemistry lab is often at opposite extremes of where is the mindset of a business person. And this brings me to the fact that I actually am also an entrepreneur in residence at the University of Oxford, and I teach a course in entrepreneurship to scientists, trying to make sure they avoid all the mistakes that I made and try to bring them the expertise that I learned as a scientist like them, entering the business world and changing my mindset in that sense.
Yeah, that experience is going to be very helpful, I would think, to the folks you're mentoring now. That's for sure. So, Ellen, you're now at Oxford Drug Design, and you're focusing on next generation antibiotics as well as some anti-cancer drugs using AI-based drug discovery. So moving to that, what drew you to this specific field, and what makes it so critical in today's healthcare landscape?
There are multiple factors. When I joined Merck after Cornell, it so happens that my work in the department called New Lead Discovery, which was the department given the responsibility of starting new drugs from scratch, discovering them really from what it was then, a piece of paper and a computer, and trying to figure out what a new drug should be like. It happens to have been in anti-infectives. So I was working here in London, and I heard the former chairman of the chemistry department at Oxford University give a speech about entrepreneurial opportunities. And he told the audience about the company, his latest spin out that he was involved with. And I approached him afterwards. And it was thanks to Graham Richards, who's the chairman of Oxford Drug Design, that I was channeled to do this academic work in entrepreneurship, entrepreneur in residence from the Royal Society. And also he said to me, listen, Alan, maybe you'll be interested in coming to us. You have experience in the biotech field. You know something about antibacterials from your work at Merck. We may be looking for a CEO. So this took a little while, but at the end, they offered me the job, and I took the responsibility of becoming CEO of Oxford Drug Design. But one of the first things I did was to examine what other therapeutic areas could this leading technology, it was Graham's original computational technology that we were using it for. And through an analysis, I was able to see the possibility of expanding Oxford Drug Design also in the direction of oncology. So we've been successful now also in developing anti-cancer drugs using that same computational platform. And that's the transition in which the company has flowed since I joined.
Yeah, got it. So, Alan, let's talk about artificial intelligence and drug discovery for a moment. Oxford Drug Design uses artificial intelligence to tackle one of the biggest challenges in healthcare, that being antibiotic resistance. So can you give us some insights to how your artificial intelligence technology accelerates the drug discovery process compared to traditional methods?
Yes, be glad to do that. The work that we do at Oxford Drug Design has its origins in the pioneering work in computational chemistry done by our chairman, Graham Richards. And he's a renowned seminal contributor to a number of key aspects of computational drug discovery. When he spun out this technology originally, the company was doing just computational work, namely generating leads and new molecules for other companies to then pursue. And at some point around 2018 or 2019, the board decided that it was time to take advantage of these computational results internally and develop our own drug pipeline. And this is how we got into drug discovery and have been doing it so successfully since then. The distinguishing features of the computational platform of Oxford Drug Design are many. And we are small, but have superior capabilities to many of the important players in the field. In order to do drug discovery successfully using AI methods, there are a number of key criteria which anyone in this field would agree are important. One is, how do you represent chemical structure for these AI models, for these machine learning models to recognize and use the information efficiently? Secondly, you need the ability to explore large databases of molecules. And this database processing is, of course, common to other areas of AI, whether it's in patient data or is in traffic in major cities or anything else. Then there is the decision making. How do you ask the model to look at certain things and not others? If you want the molecule to be active against a certain disease, well, you have to ask the model to choose for that. That's another important element. And finally, are the resources that are used? How much computational power are you requiring in order to run this particular model? And Oxford Drug Design has developed strong superiority across all four of these dimensions. And the way one demonstrates this can only be with real drugs. So, Tom, we have 3 different therapeutic programs. The major one, the principal one, is on cancer. Then we have one on resistant lethal infections, and we have another in infectious disease. all three have very quickly been validated with animal proof of concept, which is the most important milestone in an early stage drug discovery business like us. Not only have we obtained very clear efficacy proof of concept, we also have very strong dose response. And at the same time, when a drug is being developed, you want to look not just at efficacy, but also at the side effect profile. And across our various programs, thanks to our computational capability and our understanding also of the biochemistry, we've developed drug candidates with very clean safety profiles. So the platform of Oxford Drug Design has been validated across different therapeutic areas internally. And furthermore, it has been validated with a number of external companies, biotech and pharma, that have come to us for us to apply our computational platform and help them resolve their own drug discovery challenges. So we have validated how effective our platform is, not just internally, but with a number of external opportunities as well. And we plan to continue expanding the work that we're doing at Oxford Drug Design with our internal pipeline in furthering the pipeline with other drugs in important diseases.
That's really helpful. And that was a great explanation and overview. And it kind of leads me to, you touched on the potential that artificial intelligence has to revolutionize drug discovery. But it seems to me it's also very complex and evolving and ever changing. So what are some of the key challenges you're facing now in integrating artificial intelligence into your research? Do you have any insights for us there?
Well, I'm not sure how long this interview is going to be, but Tom, we could be here a long time explaining what the challenges are. I mean, in science, what you know is good that you know it, but what you don't know is normally much larger. So we have advanced indeed significantly, and not just we at Oxford Drug Design, but we, the practitioners of computational drug discovery, have advanced significantly. And in fact, no drug discovery effort today, either in academia or in industry, can happen really without a computational component of some sort. The question is, how do you use your computational capability? In our case, it's called Synth AI. And what are still the stumbling blocks? So Oxford Drug Design is doing a fundraise at the moment in order to expand the business and grow the pipeline and, of course, strengthen our computational capability. And the key challenges are something that we already do well, but we need to do better. Tom, the distinguishing feature of Oxford's computational platform is that it simultaneously comes up with molecules for us as a drug discovery business that can not just exist in theory, but that can be made using traditional conventional chemistry methods. It's very easy for computational models to spew out billions of molecules that might be helpful in whatever problem you want to solve, but this is meaningless unless the molecule can be made. And not only does it need to be made in the lab at a small scale by a scientist, but furthermore, our platform delivers molecules that can be scaled up economically. Now, you're still not there, because if you're able to make a molecule that the model says you should make, and then it can be even scaled up whenever it reaches commercialization, it needs to do what it's supposed to biologically. If it's going to go after a certain downregulation of a target or upregulation, it needs to do that as well. Synth AI is able to do all three at the same time, namely come up with molecules that are going to be useful, that are going to be makeable in industrial scale, and that have the desired biological function. So we have the three key objectives already working. What we need to do next, Tom, and this is again why we're raising our current round of funding, is to be able to do each one of those even better and more efficiently to bring these drugs faster to our patients. We have gone very fast already in our oncology program, which is our newest. In our first mouse trial, we observed clear efficacy and very clear dose response. And this is for an unoptimized molecule, an unoptimized model. So this gives you the idea of the power of our platform. But of course, we would like to advance even faster in our next generation.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I really appreciate that overview. But I'm also thinking at the same time, with all of this going on and all the potential, right? You've led organizations with several innovative individuals. So I'm curious, with all this innovation, what are some of the best practices you developed for fostering innovation, but also at the same time, not getting too much of that shiny object syndrome? Can you help us out with how you create that kind of innovation and keep those teams focused?
I have a simple formula, which I have learned from having been part of what I believe are formidably high-quality organizations such as Merck and McKinsey. When you hire the best talent available, the most creative scientists you can find in the market, and you're working on important problems, innovation happens. And when I joined Merck, I was fortunate to have a supervisor and a supervisor's supervisor who had done their graduate degrees for one of the most formidable figures in 20th century chemistry. And already at that time, he was of the view that alongside the top elite universities doing science, you have the top companies doing science, but only because the people were very, very similar. And so I'm sorry, it might sound not very sophisticated, or I don't have any complex explanations, but in my experience, whenever one has hired top people, it doesn't require a great deal of artificial pushing for things to begin to happen. And I've observed this at Oxford Drug Design as well. I'm blessed to be surrounded by graduates from top universities, have worked for the leading companies in the field. And Tom, when I look at the innovation that happens at Oxford Drug Design on a regular basis, I can only ascribe it to having gotten the right people and us working on important diseases.
Yeah, that's helpful. And, to build on that a little bit too, you mentioned that, you're entrepreneur in residence at the Oxford University, and you're deeply involved in the science of entrepreneurship. We've got a lot of gurus out there that are entrepreneurs or soon to be entrepreneurs. What advice do you have for emerging entrepreneurs looking to navigate this complex landscape of the life sciences and technology? Do you have any words of wisdom that you might share with them?
I come from humble beginnings in this area. I never got an MBA other than the mini MBA training that I got at McKinsey, but I never went to a formal 2-year program. That McKinsey program was extremely effective. So I can only provide an answer from a very humble, unauthoritative view. However, I have been teaching my course at Oxford University to hundreds of PhDs and postdocs and academics. And what is important is to be honest about one's scientific talents not being 100% transferable into becoming successful business people. We scientists have a view that because we spend our day solving problems in quantum mechanics or organic synthesis or other areas of science, that therefore success in the business world is not just trivial, but it has to come to us as opposed to us coming to them. So if there was one thing that I've tried to achieve with my course, is to make sure we scientists are mindful that we have work to do to translate our obviously strong intellectual skills beyond science into business, which has a number of differences. So anybody approaching entrepreneurship from a scientific standpoint has to be prepared to accept the fact that our very strong intellectual capabilities in science still require training and knowledge in order to become successful in the business place.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I want to build on that for a moment too, because, you touched on raising money, right? And in terms of you're doing another round at Oxford drug design. So, securing funding for biotech innovations can be very challenging. So kind of interested, based on your experience with this and leading bio investments, what strategies have you found most effective in attracting investment for early stage biotech companies?
That's a multiple stage answer. And the same way large businesses have large investors, small businesses have small investors for sometimes not very different reasons. When I took CarQuest public and now building up Oxford Drug Design, one has to keep in mind, first and foremost, the patients, the people who are going to be benefiting from what you're doing, from the value that you bring into the market, into society. And provided what one does that well, then money will flow with it. Now, executing that is what is a challenge. But I've always felt that if one has in mind where one needs to be as a business and as a great product in creating value, then one is able to put the financial and operational pieces together to achieve it. One has to know how to do that. One needs the technical knowledge in operations, in strategy, and in finance. But I feel that one needs first and foremost to understand that this is all for the benefit of patients and their physicians. And to the extent that we can satisfy their needs, they'll pay for that and everyone will benefit. Shareholders, all stakeholders, and of course, consumers and patients principally.
Yeah, that's very helpful. So, Ellen, this really seems like a very exciting time for you and your team at Oxford Drug Design. What does the future hold and where are you going from here?
We have very clear goals ahead, and this is why we are searching for capital. Let's go first on the pipeline. We have an oncology program which has achieved successful animal proof of concept, and we need, Tom, to continue the preclinical development of this program in order to reach the clinic and begin human trials. This involves selecting a clinical candidate. This involves conducting a number of further tests in animals, optimizing the molecule, optimizing its safety profile, and finally reaching a point where we can file our application with the FDA and other regulators. The same actually applies to our antibacterial program, which is in similar stage of advanced optimization in order for us to select the candidate that's going to reach the clinic for resistant infections. At the same time, we also want, as we discussed initially, to deepen and strengthen our computational and our biochemical target expertise. This is work in progress. We have a very strong team computationally. And this work in strengthening the various areas of the AI side needs to continue. I didn't mention, but it'd be interesting to mention it now. One of the innovative elements of our computational platform, Tom, is that we introduced topology into creating new molecules. Topology is the area of mathematics that studies three-dimensional objects in space, because when a new chemical enters a certain biological target in order to deactivate and stop the disease, it's not a particular part that is active, but the molecule simply needs to fit. Like a key has certain grooves on the key that makes it work, but the other shapes of the key also matter. And if they don't work, then the whole thing doesn't work. And topology has been an area of interest to us. We have a mathematician topologist of superb quality working in our team, and we are continuing to develop that angle of computational drug discovery. And that has, again, facilitated how we have gone so quickly into developing effective molecules. So the work is very clearly ahead of us, and we have milestones over the next 2.5 years to bring these programs into the clinic and to strengthen our computation. Finally, I would like to mention the following. This is the work that we have before us, but there is an even perhaps equally exciting prospect for us, and it's in the plans for our expansion. That is, our platform is expandable with the same capability to a number of other disease programs. We already have plans of at least 2 major disease areas with large markets and large unmet need, where our combined platform of tRNA synthetases, which are our target expertise and our computational capability, is able to expand very efficiently. So over the next 2.5 years, with the funding that we hope to raise, we're going to pursue the existing programs and develop new ones with the same capability.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, Alan, I'd like to just take a moment and thank you for all the time and preparation it took to be our guru today. If somebody wants to learn a little bit more about Oxford Drug Design or connect with you, how do we do that? Are you on LinkedIn or is there a website? How do we find out more information about Oxford Drug Design?
Thanks, Tom. LinkedIn, I am on LinkedIn, Alan D. Roth of Oxford Drug Design. However, the easiest might be that on our website at oxforddrugdesign.com, there is a contact us page. Please do reach out through our contact page on the website, and we will come back to you to answer your queries and your interests. So thanks for asking, and we look forward to hearing from many of your listeners.
Oh, fantastic. So, Alan, once again, thank you so much. It was very enjoyable to speak with you, and thanks for being our guru today.
It was a pleasure. Thanks again, Tom, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to MedTech Gurus. I am Sylvester Harris, your MC. If you want to learn more about Tom and his consulting services, you can go to www.pctmedical.com or email Tom at tom@pctmedical.com. Now, I can be reached at Sylvester Harris, that's SylvesterHarris 5048@gmail.com, and I'd be pleased to discuss any voiceover work that you may want for your company or broadcast. Hey, thanks so much for listening, and catch us on the next episode of MedTech Gurus.